Hey there, folks. Welcome to another round of Modern. This time we have Harley Smale on Indomitable Creativity Archon version versus Alex Sargent on Living End. This is an interesting matchup. This is something that if you're going to an SCG event or any of the RCQs, and you'll probably, if you play either of these decks, you will see the other, right? 4 and 5 color creativity has been popping up pretty often as of late. It's a very good deck. Harley got 12th place with it in SCG Syracuse. And it's been popping up. Hell, I played against it in Baltimore in the team event. And then Alex playing Living End. This is Alex's, I believe, first time playing Living End. He typically plays Rhinos nowadays, but he wanted to try the other Cascade deck in the format out. I guess there's technically 3 now, isn't there? With the Glimpse of Tomorrow deck, aka Deck Actions and Shuffle Triggers deck. But yeah, both of these decks, very good. Give me a second and take a sip of coffee. All right. Cool. I forgot to buy creamer, so we're drinking a black today. Not that that matters at all to the commentary. Yeah, so this is Alex's first time playing Living End. I think this is like legitimately his first ever game playing the deck. So if he makes any weird decisions, we will just chalk it up to that. Not everyone's really good when they first pick up a deck. God knows I struggle my way through playing anytime I pick up a deck. I don't know what I'm doing. Have any of you seen me play Magic? It ain't great. Now, if you don't understand how either of these decks work, we're going to give a little bit of a rundown, starting with Archon, aka Creativity. So it is based around the card Indomitable Creativity, which is a transmogrify style effect. I can't think of the actual card name that they were based off of. It was an older card that did something. It's not coming to me. I just had a work meeting, which required me going to the Holmes location, and I do not live near the Holmes location, so my brain's a little fried. I'm still trying to think of what this card is, but that's okay. Anyway, so the Creativity deck, again, resolves around Indomitable Creativity, which is 3 red and X, and you can have X be mana. You target X creatures and or artifacts that either player controls, and then you can pop them. You destroy the targeted things, and then if it's your stuff, you reveal cards from the top of your deck until you hit a creature, put it into play. If you target your opponents, same thing happens for them. They just, reveal cards from the top of their deck and not your deck. So typically what this deck will do is it'll play Dwarven Mine, and you'll get 4 mountains into play, or 3 mountains, and you'll fetch a Dwarven Mine. The mine will enter untapped, create a 1/1 dwarf token, and then you cast Indomitable Creativity, targeting that dwarf, popping it, and going into your win con of choice. Right now, Archon of Cruelty is like the go-to. Some people have played Primeval Titan in the past, as well as Emrakul the Aeon's Torn and Sarah's Emissary. That is a very baseline version of what the deck does. Now, typically, players will try and get 2 Archons into play at the same time. So they'll wait a tiny bit in order to just pop it and go. So, yeah, that is basically that. You play a lot of other good effects, you play Explore in order to get extra land drops in. You play Hard Evidence as a way to create tokens. You play Fable the Mirror Breaker, which is a brilliantly designed card. It's very strong, very fun to play. So yeah, lots of good stuff. And then Living End plays a lot of crap creatures that eventually kill your opponent. So they're all big creatures cycling on them. Cycling is you pay the cycling cost, and then you discard that card and draw a card. Examples of this are Curator of Mysteries, Striped Riverwinder, Street Wraith are the big 3, as well as some other stuff like Colossal Sky Turtle from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. So what you're going to do is you're going to put all those creatures in your graveyard. You're going to cycle through your deck. You're going to draw cards. You're going to probably evoke a Grief at least once or twice. And then you're going to cast either Shardless Agent or Violent Outburst and cascade through your deck to a copy of Living End. Living End will then exile each player's graveyard. I don't remember if it's... I think it's you exile the yard, then you sacrifice all creatures on the board, and then whatever creatures were exiled from the graveyard, they get put into play. That might not be verbatim, but effectively, what was in your graveyard gets swapped with what's on your board. If you had nothing on your board, you get all the stuff in your graveyard. If you had 2 things on your board, you lose the 2 things and you get what's in your yard. Bing, bang, boom. You can put up a crap ton of damage on the board as early as turn 3. Whew. Now, like I said, Alex is a newer player, and I think he was just a little bit nervous about playing here. You'll notice that he does make a mistake. Not this turn, but the following turn. So Harley goes to cast a Teferi, Time Raveler. Historically, the king of preventing cascade spells from resolving. Teferi's going to land. Harley's going to minus and draw a card. Now, what Alex should have done is cast the Violent Outburst in his hand in order to cast it in response to Teferi being cast. And then he gets the Cascade and cast Living End. Because unfortunately, if he casts Shardless Agent here, which I believe he does, can't can't cast at non-sorcery speed. So cascading does not work. Alright, there's the Violent Outburst. So the way this will resolve is that Alex will reveal cards on top of his deck, find the thing that he would attempt to play, be unable to play it because of Teferi, and then that pile will get randomized. The card that he attempts to cast will be considered part of the pile, so those 4 cards will get randomized and put on the bottom of his deck. There's like a discussion here about what's going on. Typically, if you're playing Living End or Glimpse of Tomorrow or Rhinos, if your opponent goes to cast a Teferi, Time Raveler, and you have a Force Negation in your hand, you should force it. Or do what you can to remove that card. It's very good against you. Like, very, very good against you. But hey, again, as mentioned earlier, this is Alex's pretty much first time playing this deck. He was reading his cards, he's a little nervous. It's all good. We've all made mistakes. Everybody has those days. Harley has fetched, made a dwarf, cast Indomitable Creativity, targeting that dwarf, killing the dwarf, and we're going to see some cards on top of his deck. There's an Archon of Cruelty. Now, if you don't know what Archon does, it does a lot. It does a whole fucking lot. You target an opponent, they discard a card, sacrifice a creature or planeswalker, and lose 3 life. You gain 3 life and draw a card. And it doesn't just do that when it enters the battlefield. It does that when it attacks, too. That's right, folks. It's an attack trigger. That card does a lot of things. A whole lot of things. I was going to untap here, attack with Archon, and Alex will die. And that will be game 1. We'll be right back with game 2 in just a second. Wow, look at that game 2. I forgot that I pre-cut this. I was going to go make another cup of coffee. And, yeah. Alright, there's a Botanical Sanctum. A Striped Riverwinder getting cycled off that Botanical Sanctum. Harley is flashing us his hand. I'm very excited. So I finished picking up the pieces for creativity in SCG Con Baltimore. And after SCG Con Ohio, or Columbus, I think I plan to play this deck for a little while. It looks fun. And I have just been playing an aggressive amount of 4-color. 4-color Omnath. So, I will welcome not having to shuffle 80 cards. Let me tell you. It'll be a beautiful day. I'll probably cry. Harley has fetched a Zeator's Proving Ground. Not the Grixis Triome that I accidentally bought, thinking it was the one I needed. No, that is the Jund Triome, folks. Taps for black, red, and green, not blue. Alex has 2 lands to play. Has a Riverwinder in the graveyard. Kind of a slow start. But I mean, hey. Plays a Bloodstained Mire, passes the turn. Alex is going to play that Scalding Tarn for turn. I love the fact that the fetches got reprinted, dude. We need the allied ones to get reprinted, but I love the fact that people can buy Scalding Tarn for $20. Mana base shouldn't be expensive. If you have like an expensive mythic in your deck that's a creature, like Ragavan, like I'm more accepting and about that. But boy, oh boy, do I dislike when people are like, yeah, you know, this land that I have to play. Now, you don't have to play it, but this land that I play is so much money. Alright, here's a Shardless Agent coming out. We're going to Cascade. Finds a Living End. Now, Shardless Agent hasn't resolved itself yet. Cascade is a cast trigger, so this Living End won't blow up the Shardless Agent. Harley's debating if he wants to use some counter magic on that Living End. It is only bringing back 1 creature, but it is a 6/6. Like, Striped or 5/5? How big is Striped Riverwinder? It's either a 7-mana 6/6 or a 6-mana 5/5. Riverwinder. 7-mana 5/5. I was wrong, folks. I would like to clarify that I don't know how to play Magic, which is boldly a lie. But hey, there's a Flusterstorm. That Flusterstorm is going to target, as well as its copies, that Living End. Creativity is effectively a Cascade deck that has the ability to sideboard real cards. And I like that. You can't play Flusterstorm in Living End or Rhinos. Because could you imagine? You're like, yeah, dude, I sided this card in, and then you forget how Cascade works. I was going to try and play Ren and 6 here. Alex is going to force a negation, pitching Subtlety. Which, let me tell you, the fact that they play Subtlety now, pretty sweet. I don't like having my Endurance Subtlety in response to me trying to prevent them from winning the game. Or, you know, pseudo win the game. But, alright. Pitching a Grief. We're going to have pitching a Living End. We're going to evoke a Grief. I'm going to take a look at Harley's hand. We have an Archon, an Explorer, and a Ren and 6. Taking that Ren is definitely correct. Anything but taking the Archon, really. We're going to cast a new Shardless Agent. Alex should have attacked for the first one here to get in for 2 points of damage, but when your deck is constructed around massive creatures, it probably doesn't matter. I love the caution Alex has while doing this cascade. He doesn't want to see too many cards accidentally. It might take him an extra second or two. But he's being careful. There you go. There's the live again. I apologize if you keep hearing me yawn. I don't know why. I was going to take a peek through that pile. Trying to see. I think I have a Zayatora's Proving Ground, and I don't know where I put it. I think it's next to my Catcher Triumph. However, I'm not sure. So I see Magic Card sitting on my side table here. There's an Italian Mazabeth. I don't think it'd be in this pile. This looks like double Masters cards. But debating on what commander deck I would like to build. I think I might build Animar, Soul of Elements. But I feel like I've been playing too many elemental decks lately. I just want to resolve Risen Reef as much as possible. Alright, so Living End is resolved, Grief is resolved. We took that Explorer from Harley's hand. He currently has 710 power on the board. Alright, Dwarven Mind coming out here, making a 1/1 dwarf creature. Folks in the comments, I would like you to help me make a decision. I plan to use Pokemon cards as my tokens for creativity. What Pokemon is the best 1/1 red dwarf? Alex has cycled some cards. I'm going to attack in. Now we're going to hit some cards out of the graveyard here. I'm gonna say draw go here. Alex is gonna fetch. What if he plays any black sources in order to actually cast his living end? Or suspend the living end? Whew. Why am I yawning so much? It's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm so confused. Alright, so Alex attacks out, block the Stripe Riverwinder. As long as Alex doesn't have Violent Outburst, Harley just goes to 1. Alright. Draws and passes for turn. Alex. Attacks in. Alright. Harley concedes, and we'll be right back with game 3. And here we are with game 3, folks. We're going to have Harley on the play, leading on his Zeotor's Proving Ground. Very, very simple turns in the beginning for both of these decks. Alex is going to evoke a Grief, pitching a Architects of Will, and trading and just putting it in the graveyard immediately. We have Ren, Spell Pierce, Prismatic Ending, Prismari Command. Oh, Lord. And a Bloodstained Mire. You just take the Ren. Cut your opponent hopefully off on lands. Spell Pierce isn't really doing too much to you. And then the command quite literally is doing nothing to you if they can't get to a 3rd land. Alright, plays a land for turn. I think it's an island. It could be a forest. I don't know the Capenna lands by the art yet. I don't really see too many people playing them. Alright, Harley fetches. Getting a Ralgren Triumph. Shocks on the Steam Vents. Toggles a Riverwinder. Picks up what looks like to be a Force of Negation. Harley, unfortunately, just not picking up a land here. Alex shocks in a breeding pool and just passes a turn. That one I think is an island. I think the other one's a forest. Cycles a street race, paying 2 life. Did he just play a second land for turn? Or is it just the turn cycle past him? I haven't paid attention. For sure, it's a little hard to tell when the opponent just goes draw go. Discards Archon during cleanup. Picks up a Brazen Bar over turn. Has 7 mana right now. Goes and gets a Watery Grave. Does have black mana for the suspend ability of Living End. Alright, cast a Colossal Sky Turtle. I picked up an Explorer. Alex attacks him. With a heart of 13, plays land for turn. Passes. Super unfortunate for Harley. Getting stuck with 2 lands is not where you want to be. Evokes his subtlety. Probably could have just hard casted it, but that's fine. End step Flash and Brazen Bar. Tax in for 9. Alright, Harley goes to play Explore. Alex has Force of Negation, which I think is just the correct play. Passes, and Alex is just going to untap and attack and win the game. Alright. Alex Sargent's going to take it 2-1 with Living End over Indomitable Creativity Archon. Thank you for watching, folks, and have a great rest of your day.